Retiring a millionaire. It's a phrase you hear, and it's like, come on, really? Like, who can actually do that? Sounds kind of like a fantasy, right?
Yeah, it can feel that way. You see pictures of, yachts and mansions, and you think, okay, that's definitely not me. Not going to happen.
Right. So then you send me this article about this freedom formula, and it's like, wait, it says you can retire a millionaire at any age. Now that got my attention. So let's break this down. What is this formula all about?
So it's actually pretty simple. It's your time left. That's how many years till you retire, obviously. And you multiply that by the average growth rate of your investments. And then you multiply that by how much you add to your investments every year. And boom, the number you get is your freedom number.
Okay, that sounds pretty straightforward, almost too simple. I'm guessing the devil's in the details, right?
You got it. There's definitely some nuance here. So let's take time left. The longer you're invested, the better, because your money has more time to grow, compound interest and all that.
Right, time is your friend, I've heard that.
Exactly. So then there's growth rate. That's basically how the market performs, right? In this article, it uses an average of 8% return every year.
8%, okay.
Yeah, but it's an average. Some years will be better, some worse. It's not like a smooth ride up, you know what I mean?
So you're saying, gotta be ready for those ups and downs.
Absolutely. Riding those waves out, that's the key.
Okay.
And that brings us to what I think is the most important part of the equation, your annual addition.
Okay, so how much you're actually putting in every year.
Yes. And the best part is you have the most control over this part. It doesn't matter how old you are or where you're at financially right now.
That's actually really empowering to hear. But also, maybe the trickiest part. Like, I know I always struggle to find extra money to invest. What does the article say about making that happen?
Well, it gives some pretty practical advice. Basically, it boils down to three things. You can try to increase your income, or you can reduce your expenses, or, and this one might seem a little weird, make sure you're not over-saving.
Okay, I like those ideas, but let's dive in a little deeper. Increasing your income, easier said than done for most of us.
Totally. Doesn't have to be some huge, scary career change, though. It could be as simple as, like, asking for a raise,
Yep.
or finding a side hustle you actually enjoy, something you're passionate about, or even just, like, doing some freelance work on the side.
All great ideas. And the article mentions sales specifically, right?
It did, because with sales, there's really no limit on your income potential.
Yeah.
But, it takes work and you got the right personality for it, I think.
For sure. Okay, so increasing income, check. What about reducing expenses? I'm guessing this is where we talk about budgeting.
You know it. Being mindful of your spending habits, basically. One of the best tips the article gave was to avoid buying things that lose value quickly. Like, I love that new car smell, but man, it's expensive.
It's true. Don't let your car be worth more than your investments. Right. Okay, and lastly, this one throws me off a little. Avoiding over-saving. How does that even work?
Yeah, I know it seems counterintuitive, right? But it's about finding that balance. Having an emergency fund is super important for sure. Enough to cover you for a few months if something unexpected happens. But after that, investing your money is usually better than just letting it sit there.
Because inflation just eats away at it, right?
Exactly. Inflation is sneaky like that.
Yeah.
If your money's not growing faster than inflation, you're basically losing money every day.
That makes a lot of sense. So we've covered time, growth, and the importance of those annual additions. But how does it all add up to this freedom number the article keeps mentioning? What are we actually aiming for here? So we've covered time, growth, and the importance of those annual additions. But how does it all add up to this freedom number the article keeps mentioning? What are we actually aiming for here?
Yeah, so the article talks about $3 million being like this common goal, this freedom number people shoot for.
$3 million.
And it's not just some random number. The idea is if you have that much invested and you're getting that 8% average return, you could withdraw 4% every year. That's $120,000. And you'd never even touch the initial $3 million.
Wait, hold on. Back up a sec. You're saying you can live off just the growth, the returns, without touching the actual money you put in.
Exactly. That's the power of compounding, right? It's like, imagine a tree that keeps growing fruit. You're just picking the fruit, the returns, but the tree keeps growing, keeps making more fruit.
Okay, I like that visual. But that $3 million, that's not like a magic number for everyone, right? We all have different lifestyles and financial goals and, well, dreams, right?
Totally. 3 million is a good starting point, I think, but yeah, you got to figure out what your own freedom number is. If you're cool with a simpler life, you might not need as much. But if you're dreaming of traveling the world nonstop, well,
You might need a bit more than $3 million.
maybe a bit, yeah. The point is, This formula, it's not about hitting some arbitrary number. It's more about understanding how time and growth and your contributions, how they all work together. It helps you make smarter choices based on like what you actually want.
I love that. This is starting to feel a lot more doable already, but I'm guessing the big question is, how long does it actually take to get to this freedom number?
Now that's where things get really interesting. The article breaks it down by different timelines. Let's say you've only got like 5 years. Well, to get to that $3 million, you need to be investing a whole lot each year, like around $500,000.
Okay, yeah, that's not happening for most of us, unless you're, like, already making bank. But it shows what's possible with the big annual addition, right?
Absolutely. It's like the fast track, but you got to be able to make those big contributions. Now, let's say you have 10 years.
Okay.
That annual number drops to about $200,000. Still a lot,
Yeah.
but doable for some people, I guess.
Definitely a big difference already. So that extra time, it really makes a dent. What if we stretch it out even further?
That's when we really start to see the magic of compounding at work.
Yeah.
20 years, you're looking at around $62,000 a year. Big difference, right? That's because with that much time, your money's growing on itself year after year after year.
Wow, now that's a number that feels within reach for more people. Really highlights why starting early is so powerful, even if you can only put in a little bit at first. But what about those of us who are thinking long term? Like way out, 30 years.
30 years. Okay, well, with that kind of time, you'd only need to contribute about $25,000 each year.
No way, seriously.
Yeah, think about it. That's just a little over $2,000 a month. Suddenly, it doesn't sound so impossible, right?
It's crazy how those numbers start to feel like, well, almost normal when you think about the time you have in that compounding working its magic. It's like you don't have to be rich already to get to a million, you know?
Right. Consistency is key. Those small contributions, even if it feels like nothing at first, over time, man, it's amazing what can happen.
Totally. It's like that saying, the best time to plant a tree was 20 years ago. The second best time is today. Applies to investing too.
Love it. Doesn't matter if you're starting a little late. The important thing is you start.
So true. Okay, we've talked about a lot today, this freedom formula, compound interest, all that good stuff. But what's the big takeaway here for our listeners? What do we want them to remember?
I think the biggest thing is this isn't about luck. Retiring a millionaire, it's not some privilege for a select few. It's about taking control, understanding these ideas, and making choices that get you to your goals. It's about time being on your side, even if you start small. Like those small steps, they can build up to something amazing.
It's about taking the mystery out of it all and making it possible for anyone, no matter where you're at right now.
Exactly. We're just giving you the tools, the knowledge.
Yeah.
The rest is up to you. Figure out what you want your financial freedom to look like.
That's your deep dive challenge this week, everyone listening. What does financial freedom actually mean for you? What would you do if money was no object? Dream big. And then use what we talked about today to figure out how to get there.
And don't worry if you don't have it all figured out immediately. Start by calculating your own freedom number, that magic number for you. Break it down into smaller steps. Even if you can't contribute much right now, don't get discouraged. Compound interest, that's a powerful force.
Couldn't have said it better. And that wraps up another deep dive into, well, retiring a millionaire. We hope you got some good ideas, some inspiration to get started, or keep going. Until next time, everyone, keep exploring, keep learning, and as always, keep diving deep.